Hello, I hope that you're all doing well today. I had a question come in about the fear of not being in alignment. And when I was feeling into this question, it kind of felt like it all really comes down to really the fear of not being in control. Like if we're in alignment, we're safe, right? Or maybe we project onto God the relationship we had with our parents if we were in a kind of a reward punishment type of dynamic with them. So if I'm in alignment, then God's gonna love me. And so a lot of this is also kind of manifesting in the mind space and thoughts too. When the mind gets a hold of spiritual awakening concepts, it can really kind of create a lot of suffering and a lot of inner kind of turmoil and just a lot of pressure, like an inner pressure, because the mind will get a hold of it, right? And the mind lives in fear because the mind's a fear program essentially. So it's like a survival machine. So the mind's like coming from survival. So it's just taking these spiritual concepts and it's just creating a situation that can be difficult to experience. And that's just what the mind does. It doesn't know what else to do, really. It's just trying to find safety. And the thing is, if we're identified with our mind, we're never going to feel that safe. There's not really safety to be found in the mind. So if we're giving our attention and our focus to what the mind's telling us about spirituality, about alignment, about not being in alignment, about this or that, anything, really anything, if we're focusing on the mind, we're gonna feel unsafe. We're gonna feel this sense of incompletion, this sense of disconnection from source, from beingness. And it's actually only in beingness where we feel innately safe. It's in beingness where the whole idea of I'm safe this way and unsafe this way just kind of disappears and evaporates, and you realize, oh, we're all just innately safe. Even if, some crazy event happened and we died like that, it's just the body falls. Who you really are is eternal, is infinite. And so your mind's just taking you for a ride. Our mind takes a lot of people for rides, but especially when we first awaken, there's a lot of juice to it, there's a lot of energies, and the mind can get really carried away, and we can just kind of go for a ride. Does it feel better to be in alignment? Oh, heck yeah. That's a bird. Okay. Yeah, it feels better to be in alignment. It's not like God's loving you more if you're in alignment. It's just your higher self it's just like you're attuning to the universe. God is loving you equally, no matter where you are in alignment. And when you're not in alignment, it doesn't feel that great. It feels off. You feel a bit disintegrated, a bit in fragmentation, a bit separate. There's more suffering. But this isn't God punishing you. This is actually the light trying to send you information, trying to help you. Someone put this in a comment, actually. I'm going to say my own way of saying it. It's the light trying to clear a program and a pattern so that you can come back into your highest alignment again and feel what that feels like, which is congruence, which is integrity, which is clarity. I did something a little out of alignment today. And it felt off. It felt like, oh, that was off. I created some distortions in my energy field. But there was no fear. There's no like, and a lot of times when we're raised with reward punishment kind of dynamics with our parents, we can go into, oh, I'm bad. Oh, I'm feeling a little off. That means so a lot of people do this with food, like, oh, I ate so much chocolate or all these cookies and now I feel bad and I feel off. And if you're not hooked into the mind and you're not going on rides with your fearful mind, it kind of stops there. You just say, oh, I feel off because I ate too much sugar. Okay, noted. Like today, I fell out of alignment just a little bit. It's super innocent and kind of so trivial, but there wasn't any like shame or I'm in trouble or I'm so bad. It was just kind of like, okay, that wasn't the highest alignment, and I know that because of the energetic feedback that I received through that action. Noted. Thank you, Divine Mother, for helping me come into congruence with the highest again and helping me surrender an aspect of myself that was confused and unconscious. So anytime we go into misalignment, all that's happening is we are the divine is unearthing confused and unconscious aspects of ourself for us to see. And for us to kind of see what that patterning is, where that kind of where it comes from. And a lot of times misaligned behavior just comes from lack, it comes from fear. Misaligned behavior is kind of like you're chasing after something in the external to get your sense of wholeness. That's what misalignment feels like to me. It's like I'm leaving myself. I'm leaving my truth, you know? And that hurts, or it can cause suffering. And that's a good thing, because it brings us back home. The only thing that's ever happened with me, every misaligned action I've ever taken, is it's always just brought me back home in a deeper and more lasting way. So we're on an earth school here. It's a kind of a playground where we're meant to be learning. Taking misaligned action is kind of part of the deal for a while. And you do get more and more refined. And taking misaligned actions becomes less interesting. It just doesn't happen as much. But the last thing we want to do is like kind of be hard on ourselves about it or make ourselves wrong or bad. No, it's just like, oh, thank you. It's just like, thank you. Thank you for helping me learn, universe. I want to come into a deeper congruence with you. So I'm gonna take this information and I'm gonna integrate it and move forward. That's it. And we think we're more in control than we are with like what happens and how we behave and the actions we take. You know, take this how you want, but there's just so much. I don't want to talk about this stuff because it gets kind of, the mind can make something of it, but we're not as in control as we think. A lot of this stuff is just divine will playing out. And so one of the things that's really helpful that I've noticed is sometimes when I feel like I'm just not that in control of what's happening, well, what can I kind of be in control of, right? It seems I can love myself no matter what kind of events are unfolding. And so that's another tantric teaching, is to bring love to yourself, bring compassion and deep acceptance when you're eating too much sugar, or when you feel yourself leaving your truth, but you just can't help it because that unconscious part of you just still has too much of a momentum, and you're not in your power enough to stay with yourself, and that unconscious part is just carrying you away from your truth. You can sometimes notice this happening in real time. And this is the art of Tantra, the practice of Tantra, is bringing love to yourself as it's happening, bringing consciousness to the pattern, to the behavior, to the addiction, whatever. And that's one way you liberate yourself really quickly of misaligned behaviors. So, but the essential pointer here is just to give yourself some space from your mind, you know? Mind gets really caught up in stuff like this. The mind's really dualistic. Have you noticed? This way's good, this way's bad. I should do this, I shouldn't do that. Anytime you're in duality, you're not in the highest truth. The highest truth is that you're loved unconditionally and infinitely, no matter what you're doing. Murderers on death row, are just as loved by God as the most holiest of saints, okay? So let's just take that whole equation out, that you're more or less safe based on alignment or more or less loved. You're infinitely safe, you're infinitely loved, no matter what you do. Now, yeah, it feels better to live in the highest alignment, and that's why we innately strive to do that as spiritual beings. It's just what we're hardwired to do from a soul perspective, I feel. And so that's what we're here doing. We're just learning. Life's hard enough. We don't need to add another layer of difficulty by being hard on ourselves. See if there's anything else there. So yeah, the fear. It's just the fear of not being in control. Your mind really wants to control things, and it's hooked onto alignment as safe. And so something in you, I'm sensing, and we all have it. We all have this part that just doesn't feel safe. And so, can we meet that part with love? And it's like, what does that part really need? Does it need us stressing about alignment? Does it need us being hard on ourselves and getting identified with the mind programming that's rooted in fear? It's probably not going to be helpful. This part of us that's stressing out and that's afraid and is just, scared of everything, it needs our love. It needs us to breathe into it. I was uttering this prayer yesterday, and it was bringing tears to my eyes, and I was uttering it to the most fearful and afraid and hurting parts in my being, and it went something like, "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you." And so that's a Hawaiian mantra, the Hopo Honopo. I'll never be able to say that word, but that mantra is really powerful. So let's connect to a mantra like that when those parts of us are feeling unsafe, rather than going to the mind. So a mantra like that, where we're saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. A mantra like that's helping us connect to our heart. It's helping us connect to our divine nature. And that really unsafe, that part that feels really unsafe, can feel that and can feel that the vibrations, the healing vibrations of a mantra or a prayer like that. So, that's what it needs. It needs you to kind of just drop out of your mind, come into your heart, and rest. It's like I can feel the Divine Mother saying, "Child, you get to rest. Just rest, child. Just rest." And that's what she's telling all of us. It's like, us human beings, we're in these traumatized, there's so much trauma, right? There's all these fight or flight nervous systems. We get so convinced, we're so conditioned out of rest. We're very much in these survival programs, in these fear programs. And we bring these into our spirituality. And so then we make these assumptions and conclusions about concepts that we've heard in spirituality, when all true spirituality, all true religion is ever trying to point you to is for you just to rest in your own being and to let go of thoughts, to let go of fear programs, to let go of any doubts that the mother isn't holding you in every moment. Like, she's holding you in every moment. Sometimes I've felt her especially holding me when I'm making the biggest mistakes, when I'm taking the most misaligned actions. I felt her holding me the most tightly, the most lovingly. And I'm getting so many chills saying that. And that's her way. That was her way of teaching me, "Child, you are loved by me no matter what you do. My love for you is not conditional. My love for you will never go away." So it's not like we're trying to follow the highest alignment to get in God's good favor. Because like I said, the murderer is in God's, just as much as God's good favor as the saint. We're just following highest alignment because it's the most enjoyable way. It's the most enjoyable way to go through this human life experience. But it's not because we got to be afraid of misalignment. It's nothing to be afraid of. We're just learning. So let's let go of all that stuff. It's duality, it's mind, it's fear, that's it. So let's just be with the fear, be with the fear. Let's not believe what the fear's saying. When fear takes the form of a thought, it can be hyper magnetizing, right? And like, we don't need to do that. You're powerful enough, we're powerful enough to rest in the heart center, to rest in the central channel, to just relax there and let the fear momentum ebb away. And as it ebbs away, you'll more and more easily come to rest in your being. And from that place, you'll know that you're innately safe and innately loved forever and ever and ever. And you won't be putting so much pressure on yourself. Of course, you'll be always doing your best. That's what we're all doing anyways. But when you mess up or you take a misaligned action, it's just real simple. There's immediate forgiveness, and it's just something, oh, okay, yeah. Not gonna eat 4 cookies in a row. Again, because it gave me a stomachache. It's a real innocent example, of course. And honestly, that stuff doesn't even, that's with food and sugar, that stuff I could care less anymore. You get real free, you just get real light with yourself, it's just like, there's just love. You become merged with the Divine Mother at a certain point where you are also loving yourself unconditionally, no matter what's happening. Even when you make the silliest misaligned behavior, you just have this inward smile to yourself because you see your own innocence. Of course, if you hurt someone, you want to take accountability and, oh, I'm so sorry, and that's real. But just that harshness with yourself kind of falls away. So then you're free just to enjoy your own presence and to just relax and to just let life move how it wants to move. And life's always going to be teaching you stuff along the way. We're all learning and growing. I don't care where you're at in the path. So I hope this helps. I hope this helps you just kind of relax with yourself, to let go of those, so just let go of the mind, the fear in the mind. And to see that you are safe and that you don't need to control life, that you're free just to surrender. And sometimes if that means you're taking a misaligned action, it was destined to be. It's all right. Sometimes when we can see everything is just an act of divine will, it can take the pressure off of ourselves. And it can let us kind of surrender into this holy love and this holy peace, no matter what's happening, no matter how our mind is judging what we're doing. Because that's what this is all about, just unraveling our consciousness from fear, from the mind, and bringing it back into our heart. All right, yeah, much love. Thank you for the donations, for joining the Patreon, for booking sessions. All of that really supports this work. And yeah, just love you all so much. See you in the next one. Namaste.